This NFC East Win Totals and Preview edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by MyBookie.ag. Sports are back, and MyBookie is now offering a 100% deposit bonus when you use the promo code SGP. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code SGP to play, win, and get paid. We're also brought to you by the leaders in daily fantasy, DraftKings. And for a limited time, get your share of $100 million in prizes once you enter the DraftKings free survivor pool. Download the DraftKings app and use promo code SGP to get in on all the action. We're also brought to you by BetQL. Want to get an advantage of the sportsbook with NBA, NHL, and MLB back in action? You need to download BetQL, the only app you'll need to make smart bets this season. Head to betql.co and enter code SGP20 for 20% off your subscription. That's betql.co, promo code SGP20. We're also brought to you by Ace Per Head. Ace is the leader in pay per head providers, and they make it super easy to start your own sportsbook. Plus, Ace is offering up to 6 weeks free over to aceperhead.com/SGP. That's aceperhead.com/SGP. We're also brought to you by Manscaped, the leaders in below the belt grooming. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SGP20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code SGP20. Finally, don't forget to sign up for the free roll football contest, where we're giving away up to $5,000 for the best NFL handicappers this season. Sign up for free today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/contest. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/contest. Ooh, welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer dog?
All right. I just wanted to get dressed up like my boy Jason Garrett over my shoulder, Sean.
You're wearing a neck gator mask in the studio.
You should check me out. I'm looking a little bit like Colby right now, huh?
Yeah, with his normally Colby rocks the bandana. You're wearing an officially licensed neck gator from the New York Giants. Oh, now you're switching like it up to headband.
Born in the USA,
looking like Jim McMahon, and of course Colby wished Jim McMahon a happy birthday on Twitter. It's always entertaining seeing Colby interact with some of the former guests. And we have a huge guest. We're taping a podcast tomorrow, our college football preview. Huge big name guest, friend of the program. And looking forward to that.
Very. I just don't bury that, Sean, because I'm very excited.
Very excited.
I'm very excited to talk to this man again.
Yes, he's been on the podcast a couple times. You can probably figure it out, but we'll leave the surprise there. Football's here. Where this is our last division preview. We of course have a ton of mock drafts, fantasy drafts. We have a fantasy football little cheat sheet you can download over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Just a shitload of free content. Of course, the free roll football contest. We're trying to get up to 1,500 people, because then the prize pool gets up to $5,000. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/contest. Get going on that. And
still 2 weeks, right? I don't think we close it until the Sunday.
Well, yeah, we'll keep it open past the opening night Thursday. Of course, Texans, Chiefs, Ryan. I mean, we're taping this on a Sunday night. 2 weeks from today, we'll be recapping, rethinking the NFL that was opening weekend. And I mean, my football juices are back. Not that I ever worried about my football juices coming back, but watching that, the return of college football was a lively, exciting affair between Central Arkansas and
it was a lively affair.
Who did Central Arkansas play? Austin P. And I of course had Central Arkansas. That was just a wild ride. They ended up covering the 4.5, and it was just tons of exciting play. Super sloppy game. The long snapper just snapped it over the head multiple times. He got benched. Their quarterback was punting, and then they were down. They were down 16-17. The spread was 4.5. Yeah. That's what I bet it at. So you're thinking, okay, even if there's a minute left, even if they drive down, they're just going to kick the field goal, win the game, not cover. That was going to be insanely disappointing. But instead, they drive down, they get down to the 10, they take a shot at the goal line fade, which I don't really like a ton of, but it worked. Gets his feet in bounds, and they go for 2.
Yeah.
They end up winning 24-17. Just felt great to win my first football bet of the football season. And I'll be honest, because I had the NBA game on the Lakers, which I cashed my lock round 1 lock Lakers -1.5 games against Portland +140. A little bit of the dog. You're welcome there. And I had that going on the TV, and I had the
a lot going on.
Central Arkansas game going on the laptop. And I'll be honest, Ryan, it felt weird watching a game on my laptop that I was betting on that I wasn't doing play-by-play for, because I instinctively
was not a simulation.
Yeah. I just had all the muscle memory from our summer of Sims, and I was ready to come in there with some play-by-play.
Yeah.
But of course, football season is back, and that means you know who's back. They never went anywhere. They've always been with us. MyBookie.ag, the official online sportsbook of the Sports Gambling Podcast. All the win totals we'll be talking about in this NFC East preview. We will be getting over at MyBookie.ag. Use that promo code SGP for a 100% deposit bonus. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. Get your early football bets in, and their MyBookie Super Contest is back. Guaranteed prize of $100,000. Only $10 to enter.
Whoa!
And again, head over there. Use the and then they also have a 300,000 one for $100 entry for the ballers, the whales.
It's a baby fucking wheel, man.
All you got to do, go to mybookie.ag, use that promo code SGP, and you can get a 100% deposit bonus over at mybookie.ag, where you play, you win. Last but not least, most importantly, you get paid.
Get paid. Get paid.
Get paid. Kramer,
Wow.
NFC East.
I just pulled up the shot of us in the video. The headband is mint. People are not going to forget me. They are not going to forget this episode. And I guess we'll start with the Washington professional football team, the Washington football team.
Yeah, let's do it.
What's there to talk about, Sean? They were 3-13 last year. They had a rookie quarterback who looked horrible.
Dwayne Haskins, yes, very horrible.
He didn't play a lot of games, but and this team played some good defense, but still they won 3 games. They weren't tremendously unlucky.
Kramer, courtesy of your friends over Football Outsiders.
No.
Worst DVOA for a rookie quarterback between 2008 and 2019. Dwayne Haskins comes in 5th overall. Jared Goff is number 1.
I'm looking at the list too. It's a murderer's row of guys you don't want to be.
Jared Goff, number 1. Josh Rosen, number 2. No. Jimmy Clausen, number 3. Blaine Gabbert, number 4. Dwayne Haskins pulling in the 5 spot. Blake Bortles, Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, Deshaun Kaiser, Christian Ponder.
You know what?
So Matthew Stafford, I think that's probably your best case scenario there.
I'm doing a deep dive with this list as my starting point for a little. I'm going to look back at the K metric because I have a feeling we got a lot of K metric guys on this list. Dwayne Haskins. We talked about the concern around his doughy body. We talked about the concern with him not really being an exciting prospect. We watched him play. He made some plays, but he also looked like trash. Yeah. And I think the problem with the small sample size we're dealing with Dwayne Haskins is he was really, 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 really bad. So the people talking about the sample size are the people that are like, well, maybe he's not awful. Maybe he's just below average, which would be a great step forward for a team that projects to have potentially a good defense.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the Haskins mindset, if you're talking yourself into Dwayne Haskins, you look at his last 2 games. He was 31 of 43, 9.2 yards per attempt, 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Man, that's a small sample size, Sean.
And I think you also point out that his coach, Jay Gruden, clearly hated his quarterback, hated Dwayne Haskins, didn't want him to succeed in any way, and I think,
by the way, I think it was on our Instagram feed. I saw a clip of a arena football game between Kurt Warner and Jay Gruden back in the day. So that made me smile.
Oh man, Jay Gruden's just probably smoking cigs, hanging out at some college party. That was always weird when that got leaked out. But yeah,
what's he doing?
I think
he's like, hey, Harbaugh's onto something there with that sleepovers, you know?
Yeah, I think if you're a Haskins backer or you want to talk yourself into it, that's where you go. And they bring in Ron Rivera, who by all accounts looks like a solid coach.
Yep.
is a solid coach by all accounts. The difference is
players coach, old school guy.
Yeah, and seems somewhat competent. Ron Rivera, the difference is with him. Ron Rivera, could you imagine a more horrible situation? He's even admitted that the short off season that's going to be tough because of COVID. He has a young team again. Like I was listening to interviews. Like, yeah, I don't know how much these young players will be able to contribute right away. Huge red flag. Then you got them changing their name from the Redskins to just Washington Football Team as the ultimate.
It feels like it matters.
The ultimate fuck you. Then he has to deal with Darius Geis situation. Domestic violence. They had to get rid of him. And if that wasn't enough,
which by the way, one of the bright spots on the offense was his small sample size, but his performance. So poor Ron Rivera.
Yeah. And last but not least, he gets diagnosed with cancer all while trying to take over a team, put this together in a short off season. And man, like, even if Ron Rivera is a super competent coach, which he seems like, not an amazing coach, but a guy who can like steady the ship, this is just like a worst case scenario in all different fronts. Like, just imagine him opening up his email. Like, what kind of shit is this guy dealing with? It seems like a nightmare.
And they are. It sounds like Jack Del Rio is also changing the defense schematically. So the strength of the team could even be crippled by the fact that they're just doing something a little bit different.
Yeah, and I think that is as far as like the strengths of this Washington football team. I think it is. I think it's their front seven in particular that really is pretty strong for them.
They were fourth in adjusted sack rate last year, Sean, and they added the number 2 pick Chase Young, which by all accounts, he's off the charts. Hard to see him failing as a prospect.
Yeah, and did you see that clip of him tackling Adrian Peterson that? It like went viral. I mean, it was like, all right, he tackled him. I don't know. Didn't seem like it was that awesome that it was the alien going viral.
It was the alien DNA being passed down because Adrian Peterson has the alien DNA going through his blood. I believe maybe it's Alien versus Predator. Who knows?
Well, Chase Young certainly has the Predator dreadlocks.
But Chase Young, I think there's no reason to believe he won't be a force this year, just based on looking at what he did and Bosa. I mean, they very similar parallel. Bosa was able to come in and immediately be a force. So if Chase Young can be a force to an already good pass rush, who kind of bolstered the back end with some kind of mid-tier defensive back pickups, I think you come back to Haskins. You come back to, is Haskins trash? Is Haskins just a guy that doesn't understand how to play quarterback in the NFL? When your sack rate doubles, when as a team, when you go from Case Keenum to Dwayne Haskins, that's a problem. That tells me Case Keenum's already, as you say, poor footwork, holds the ball a little bit too long. Dwayne Haskins is dictating this sack rate, and it's certainly not going to help, especially with looking at that team. You can almost say the offensive line potentially is the weak spot. And, Haskins, much like Danny Dimes, the optimist will be looking for that big jump from year 1 to year 2. I think if you're a Haskins backer, you can be even more optimistic in that he only played such a small amount of games that you're going to, the curve is coming.
Well, and kind of a quick thought on Haskins. To me, I realized he didn't have it when his first victory, instead of going out there and kneeling the ball, he literally goes into the crowd and takes a selfie.
That's not a good look.
I mean, as an old man dealing with millennials, could there be a more millennial thing than leaving the game, your first victory, and you go into the stands to take a selfie with someone?
That's the definition.
How does that even get on your radar to think? I can understand if it was like a super hot chick, but it was just like an average looking fan. I don't know what he was thinking.
When the coach says there's no I in team, Haskins is the guy that says, yeah, but there's a me. So yeah, not a good look from the quarterback. I think again though, tools around him. McLaren turned into a pretty good receiver. I mean, AP, he still looked good.
Yeah, he's still. I mean, it's crazy. I thought he was dead like 3 years ago, but he just keeps running the ball.
Alien DNA, bro.
And coming back to that Ron Rivera interview I listened to, I always thought Antonio Gibson was kind of a sneaky fantasy play, and on 2 separate interviews, he said, quote, "We have a role for Antonio Gibson." And he even said in the other one, he's expected to play that Christian McCaffrey role. So full point PPR. I mean, you can get Antonio Gibson super late. I think there's definitely, it makes sense to do that, but you're right. Like other than that though, and Steven Sims is all right. In
fairness though, McLaren's also way too cheap in fantasy for a team that, you know, they're going to have opportunities to score touchdowns because the defense could be good. And I think the narrative of how this team does anything productive this year is they become a team where Haskins in a high variance way has some really good games and the defense plays well enough to keep them in most of the games. Perhaps, you know, my real take on this team is perhaps this is a team we're looking at next year that was close in a lot of games. Typical analytical Ron. I think this is a team that's going to come up short in a bunch of games because of the inconsistencies of Haskins married with a defense that could be really, really good. So yeah, I mean, I'm not, you know, it's typical. I think I said Redskins a couple times. It's typical.
Stop dropping the R bombs, Ryan. We're gonna have to go back and bleep all these out.
Typical Washington football team. And I think they're going to be a non-threatening factor that is a thorn in the side. Like I'm really excited. I don't know. I don't know how, if I want to end up playing this team earlier in the schedule, because if nothing else, pass rush is not something you got to work. It's just instinctual. And if the defense is ahead of the offense that much early, and I think we might see, based on that college game, we're going to see some shit shows in the National Football League.
Well, that was also FCS.
True.
I thought it was,
but
funny.
No preseason is going to be a problem. We're not talking about it enough. But week 1 is going to be a handicapping nightmare.
It's going to be wild,
and you're really going to want to just, I think, attack the teams that have done it before and have that consistency year to year.
Well, and they're changing the scheme. To me, you said they kind of short up the defensive backfield a little bit. I would like to point out a man by the name of Ronald Darby. That guy's a huge liability. And you know, they
had Josh Norman playing snaps last year.
They played the Eagles week 1, and if you remember week 1 last year, Deshaun Jackson just toasted them.
Yeah.
So I think that could be a real issue. Now their front seven, if their front seven can get enough pressure consistently to help out the defensive backfield, we've definitely seen that work.
Imagine if they'd be going after an offensive line week 1 that's a little banged up.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely worried about the Redskins D line, especially week 1.
And they can stuff the run. They are a top notch run defense. So I think.
But Ryan, what I'm really worried about, and maybe this is crazy, but from what I'm reading, that he's actually taking snaps in 11 on 11. What if Alex Smith comes back in the second half of the season and they have this good defense, and you bring in Alex Smith, just game manager extraordinaire? Isn't this Washington team, the way it's set up right now, the perfect team for Alex Smith?
That's the lead here is everyone's focusing on Haskins and will he take a step forward? Well, you get to see, give him a couple games, but I mean, by all accounts, he's ready to play, quote unquote.
Yeah. I mean, still, like, he has to go out there and do it. And he hasn't been playing in any preseason games. I can't imagine he's getting a ton of snaps in practice, cause they're trying to get Dwayne ready. But there is a scenario where Alex Smith comes back, wins them a couple games. Couldn't you just see him coming in,
the ball to Adrian Peterson, dump the ball off,
and just throw it to McLaurin? Like I think there's a formula where if Haskins doesn't do well in like the first half of the season, Ron Rivera is not tied to him at all. He could easily say, like, throw this guy off his riverboat and just keep going down that river and put Dwayne Haskins.
He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that's going to tolerate inconsistent, shitty quarterback play.
Tolerate bullshit.
Oh, wait a second. He had Cam Newton on his team.
You're right. There's a lot of crossover between
tolerance.
The selfie in the stands is right out of the Cam Newton playbook. When Cam saw that, he's like, "Oh man, why didn't I think of that?"
Yo, tell him it was a business decision. All right, Sean. Let's do we talk about any additions? I think we mentioned some along the way. We talked about it. Thomas Davis coming over, Kendall Fuller on the.
I don't know how much he has left.
You know, though, there is something to be said about the reason that he was brought over. I'm sure was so
leadership.
yeah, Ron Rivera is just installing some lieutenants, and I think everything you hear about a guy like Thomas Davis is he is a respected guy. So we know that matters, right, Sean? As a championship winning coach, I know that matters. Big loss, Eric Flowers. Again, somehow someone decided to pay him. Again, you look at the losses for this team: Keenum, Eric Flowers, Josh Norman, and Quentin Dunbar, who somehow got completely off on the Baker issue. The Redskins,
he was the guy that was involved in like robbing that high stakes Madden game, but then turns out it was all the Giants cornerback's fault. DeAndre Baker.
Bullshit. Anyway, I think if you look at this, combine it with the fact that Ron Rivera is a guy who's respected by players who have played for him. He's clearly looking to change the tone, bringing in a coach like Jack Del Rio. That's a tone setting coach. You know, you're bringing in coaches that can get out on the field and knock people around. Old school NFC East. Again, they were 3-13 last year, going well under their win total of 6. 5.5 is the number this year, Sean. -120 on the over, -110 on the under. 16-1 for the Redskins to win the division. 75-1 to win the conference. 150-1 to win the Super Bowl. Your Alex Smith theory blows all of this out of the water.
I'm saying if he is that Alex Smith that we last saw. I mean, I think he was 6-2 before he destroyed his leg. So there is a world where he can manage this type of game, and Ron Rivera would like a veteran quarterback just to kind of save face a little bit, especially if ownership maybe changes hands. They finally force Dan Snyder out. You want to have a decent record so that they don't clean house once again.
Ron Rivera also has experience being a coach when an owner goes through a scandal and sells the team. So he's
also Dan Snyder. Like the latest thing came out that they had like guys in their video department or whatever put together like a highlight reel of like nip slips and like weird like the cheerleaders changing or whatever. It's like, dude, you're a billionaire. You can't get laid on your own. You need like to go some creepy like spy cam on these chicks. Like it's just just talk to a woman. You're a billionaire. If you can't get laid, that's insane.
Haven't we learned anything from Robert Kraft and Jeffrey Epstein? These guys are weirdos. That's the problem.
But Robert Kraft, I think that was more a time efficiency thing. Like 7 habits of highly effective people. 1, just pay them for the sex. Like that to me makes way more sense than like
pay them to leave.
Yeah. You're not paying to have sex. You're paying them to leave. Right. Where was that from?
I don't know. Every guy in Vegas. Every old guy trying to pass down some wisdom to a young guy in Vegas. You know, the thing about a prostitute, you're not paying for the sex, you're paying for them to leave. Or you're not paying for them to come, you're paying for them to leave. All right, Sean.
Let's do it.
The first 4: Philly at home, at Arizona, at Cleveland, Baltimore at home. I'll say this. Those are really tremendously scary spots for both Baltimore and Philly for the same exact reason. If this defense is right and they can shut down the run and they can do something, and who knows, maybe the offense does a little something, right? We saw games. You called out the 2 weeks where he looked like aces.
Yeah.
So, and you know, who knows? Arizona, I think we're holding. These are the 2 like ultimate hype teams, right? The hype team this year and the hype team last year on the road. Don't know. Very interesting starting 4 because this can go well for the Redskins. I'm sorry, this can go well for the football team. But I think they, unfortunately, too much class in the Eagles and Ravens, and the road games are just weird enough. I'll say 1 in 3.
Yeah, Ron Rivera himself said this is going to be a challenge, and that he's managing expectations.
And this is a man who likes to gamble on riverboats.
1 and 3 for the football team. I just think their schedule is a lot tougher than you would expect for a last place team.
We should inform them that we already own. We have the hashtag TFT covered from the football tournament. So
yeah, they're going to try and steal that.
Next 4: Rams at home, at Giants, Dallas at home, bye week 8, Giants at home coming out of the bye, at Detroit.
Whoa, wait, I think you did Detroit's.
I'm sorry, that was 4. So yeah, Rams at home, at Giants, Dallas at home, bye week, Giants off the bye. Tough stretch. But again, you know, I think they typically play the Cowboys.
They do. And
Cowboys defensive backfield is good. We will get to them in a bit, but holy shit. Like if you're going to if you're a quarterback this year, you're going to be licking your chops to play this Cowboys secondary, in my opinion. And so I think, again, their ability to stop the run, Sean, it makes me believe they can win some of these games. They'll split with the Giants, and I'll say 2. I say they get
I think they could win 2. They could beat the Giants both times, so they could steal one from the Cowboys or the Rams. Certainly, in the realm of
outsiders were so mean to the Giants this year. I mean, I don't know if I'm going back next year, Sean. Next 4 at Detroit, Cincinnati at home, at Dallas on Thursday.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving.
Is that the Thanksgiving game? At Pittsburgh.
Jesus.
And that is they have an at Dallas on Thanksgiving, at Pittsburgh, at San Francisco, 3-game road stretch there. So schedule's getting tougher. They'll beat Cincy at home. That's about it though, right?
Yeah, I got one win. Cause even Detroit, that's a tough spot. Bengals, who knows what they'll be doing.
And to finish out
in Pittsburgh stuff.
At San Francisco, Seattle at home, Carolina at home, at Philly. They can definitely beat Carolina at home. I'll give them that win. I'll say 1-3. Not the worst season, and I don't. What do you got, Sean?
Yeah, 1-3.
I don't.
A lot of tough spots.
Feel
there.
like we were tremendously optimistic for this team. We still got them to 6, which is over the.
Wait, I got 6. I thought I was 5. And
you had them go 1-3, 2-2, 1-3, 1-3. Oh, sorry, we both had them go 5-11.
5-11.
Faulty math on my behalf. Yeah, and that I feel like we were fairly pessimistic for them. We got them almost to the win total. It does scare me away from recommending the under. Here's why I would say under, because I think Haskins is bad.
Yeah, I mean, again,
the Alex Smith theory scares me a little bit, but
yeah, because there's a like I said, like there's a world where Alex Smith comes back, he balls out, shit gets crazy, and that defense, like, I don't know. But again, are they really going to do that? And management wants him to play Haskins to see what they have. So the chance of Alex Smith actually doing that is probably crazy. But 150 to 1, I don't know. What other teams do you think have a? Couldn't you again? The Alex Smith thing, I think, could be real. That's all I'm going to say. Well, if Alex Smith comes in the second half of the season, I think a lot of these bets go out the window. And again, I'm just looking to play a lot of unders in this Redskins team.
Only Carolina has fewer projected wins from the Football Outsiders. I think the area, if you're excited about this Redskins team, it's because you're saying, hey, they could have an elite team based on that front seven. So based on that pass rush, really.
Kramer. Before we move over to quote unquote America's team, time to talk about America's place for daily fantasy. That's right, DraftKings. Football season less than 10 days away. Can you believe it?
No,
I know it's so crazy. Chiefs, Texans, 10 days away. Are you kidding me? Celebrate week 1 of the football season. DraftKings is putting you in the center of the action with 2 shots at $1 million top prize. So get in on all the action now. Very easy to do. DraftKings, obviously. Just download the DraftKings app. Use the promo code SGP to get a free shot at $1 million top prize.
Oh my God!
On top of that, they're giving away $100 million in prizes to all users who entered the free Football Survivor pool. I'm already in, Ryan. I already got my instant bonus.
Get it.
Nice little extra DraftKings bucks. I already selected my week 1 Survivor team. And again, instantly get a share of up to $100 million in giveaways. Again, download that app for a limited time. Get your share. $100 million in prizes once you enter DraftKings free Survivor pool. Promo code SGP to get on all the action for a limited time only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Other terms and conditions and eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Kramer, while we're here, one more shout out to BetQL. BetQL, we've been doing the BetQL game of the week. We gave out the one last week, or it was a couple days ago, actually. Lakers Blazers, and we hit on our first half pick, Blazers and Blazers game.
Just Blaze.
Download that BetQL app for free, and if you want to sign up for the premium service, SGP 20% off your first subscription. NBA, MLB, NHL, and of course the NFL. all going to be on the BetQL app if they're not already there. They got the best bet algorithm. They help you pick smarter, not harder. BetQL.co, promo code SGP20. Dallas Cowboys, Ryan, America's
Well, just to be
team.
clear, because I don't think we both are 5-11. We're both saying under.
Yes, both saying under. None of the
and you didn't tell me
futures
what they were to
appealing.
make the playoffs.
I'll look that up, Ryan.
Just taking care of some housekeeping.
Yeah. The Washington football team plus 625 to make the playoffs, minus 1300 to miss the playoffs.
Isn't that, if you're a football team fan, if you're a football fan, isn't that the bet you take?
Or
6.5 to 1, 6.25 to 1, whatever you just said.
plus 625
for the defense to be good enough for them to win 8 games and sneak in.
Well, how about this? Instead of that, you look to Alex Smith, 12 to 1 comeback player of the year.
Ooh.
So I think there's a chance he could get it, even if they don't have a good season. Like if he just goes randomly like 3-1 in those last 4 games, he's going to lose to the Eagles. But if he just comes in and goes like 4-1, it's such a great story as compared to like Cam Newton or JJ Watt or Roethlisberger or Gronk.
I mean, if Cam Newton turns the tide in New England and gets people wearing hats. If people are donning hats and scarves like Cam Newton, I'd say he gets whatever fucking award that is.
If he can get the chatterheads to wear scarves year round,
it's a I don't even know what it's a Derby classic. All right, Cowboys time. Cowgirls time.
The Cowgirls, America's team, has made the divisional round just 6 times in those 24 years since their last Super Bowl, and are 0-6 when they've made it there.
Well, the win total was 9 last year, and when we were like, oh well, they're going to go 8-8, so you should take the under. They went 8-8. Sean, they underperformed by 3 wins. Their Pythag wins 11 last year. So they certainly a team you circle as a regression candidate. Here's the problem. They're rolling in big fat Mike McCarthy. And I don't know about you, but it seems as though everyone has forgotten.
Yeah. They're forgotten why
they forgot and
why Aaron Rodgers ran him out of town.
Did you know? Yeah. The outsiders mentioned his extremely predictable play calling, AKA calling the same play over and over again. Did you know that part of his pitch to the Cowboys is that he was going to build an analytical team?
Yes, it was big news that he went and hung out with the Pro Football Focus guys to learn analytics. Him and Gettleman.
He's Chris Farley. He's literally like Jerry Jones is David Spade
in a little coat.
Anyway, I guess to me the story is all about Jason Garrett taking his talents to New York, being appropriately leveled once again. Look at beautifully over my shoulder, running that offense, your fucking shine box. Getting the most out of.
But
here's what I'll say:
he wasn't calling the plays last year. That was all Kellen Moore. So,
but from
Kellen
a
Moore's going to be calling him.
You got to give him some credit for what he did with Dakota. I think one area that we unfairly told him to go get his fucking shine box is. He did develop a 4th round quarterback into a Pro Bowl situation where now Jerry Jones is squirming.
Yeah.
Because he's got to pay him. And I think it's fair to give Jason Garrett shit for all the things that he sucked at, being mediocre,
1-score games, 1-6 in 1-score games,
not
clock
being the
management,
best in-game head coach,
not going for it on 4th down,
being a puppet where Jerry Jones is probably up to the elbow, was right up his ass.
Oh man, Jerry really has to want to do that to Mike McCarthy to get involved there, because that's not a great visual.
But he did develop. He did have. I mean, as a quarterback himself, I would find it hard to believe that he had nothing to do with the development of Rain Dakota Prescott.
Okay, Ryan.
That is a disgusting.
You're coming up with new ways to compliment the Cowboys on the NFC East podcast.
I'm not complimenting the Cowboys. I'm complimenting
That's why, because now he's a part of the New York
and
Giants.
Now with Jason Garrett out of the building, Rain Dakota Prescott will be lost. He won't have that special copy of Drops of Jupiter that Jason Garrett made special on the cassette tape.
You know, I was wondering, like, why is he going out of his way to praise Jason Garrett? And I didn't even occur to me that you're just
playing chess, bro. I'm playing chess.
Laying the groundwork for him to somehow save.
Can I tell you a serious coaching problem I would have if I'm a Cowboys fan?
Sure.
Did you know their offensive line coach last year, Mark Colombo, 6'8", former offensive lineman himself? You know, Sean.
Yep.
A guy that's gonna get out there, get his hands on you and show you how to do it the right way. What have the Cowboys had? Fantastic offensive line.
Yeah.
You know who's not in the building anymore because he's in New York? All Rise with Joe Judge teaching the boys how to get their hands on people and move men.
Are they also taping tennis balls with their hands, or is that just the defensive back?
Mark Colombo not in the building anymore. You wouldn't believe it. Who is the new offensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys, Sean?
I don't know.
Okay, Joe Philbin.
Oh, really?
Are you serious? You're going from a 6'8" mountain of a man who can show you how it's done because he played in the league, and now you're bringing in the ultimate South Park guidance counselor, horrible head coach, had no chance being the head coach of that Dolphins team, and he's going to be your offensive line. Does he look like an offensive line coach to you?
No. And we're
going to bring back Ben McAdoo too.
To be an offensive line coach, you either have to be a super old guy, super fat guy. You have to be chewing tobacco.
Have people forgotten that Ben McAdoo is in Mike McCarthy's coaching tree?
And also too, like Philbin is one of those early pioneers of coaches getting exposed on Hard Knocks, and you're like, oh my God, this guy's an NFL coach. He should not. I mean, Dave Campo, of course, we remember him. Where you're like, oh my God, this guy shouldn't be a coach anymore. And Philbin was early on that train where you're just like, why would anyone listen to this dude? He just seems like some egghead nerd. You need to be a giant fat guy.
So as a guy who's been in the trenches, Sean, you have
couple foxholes. I can't say what's going on there, Ron. You don't want to know.
You have to be alarmed by this. This is concerning. This is the next level shit I'm bringing in this podcast. But this is concerning to you. Now, what if I also told you, Sean, the most important position on the line, the center, he retired.
Yeah. Didn't want to be a part of the new era Dallas Cowboys.
Tyron Smith, he's got injury problems. We know the track record of this Cowboys team when he misses time. It's not about Dak, or I'm sorry, apologies. It's not about you, Rain. It's not about you, big fat Zeke Elliott. It's not about Amari Cooper. It's not about CeeDee Lamb, aka Kevin Durant. It's about Tyron Smith. And if this offensive line takes a step back because of the coaching, because Travis Frederick is not there anymore, and Tyron Smith misses some times, the house of cards could come tumbling down. And then Sean, music to my ears, the secondary, the only bright spot, he's out the goddamn building. This secondary is gonna be a problem. Robert Quinn was really good. They lost him.
They lost to Michael Bennett, Gerald McCoy. Also, nice big potential contributors to the defensive line. It's coming back to the offensive line real quick. Everyone gave me so much shit. Zeke's not in your top 10 running backs. Zeke, are you kidding me? Zeke's production, Ryan, it continues on a downward trend. Rookie year, 108.7 yards per game. Second year, 98.3. Third year, 95.6. Last year, 84.8.
Wow.
He's already has almost 1,200 career carries. And this is a guy not taking care of his body. Like, the dude just looks like a giant fat ass. I mean, he went to train down in Cabo. What, on how to drink margaritas? Like, come on, dude. You're not training.
Who trains in Cabo? No one trains in Cabo. Come on.
How to take ecstasy properly. Like, you're not going there. And that just kind of speaks to Zeke as a person. That he's a big boy. He had a ton of carries in college. He's had a ton of carries this far. And Cowboys, I mean, they already paid him for some reason. If you're gonna get a draft a running back high, which again, not a good idea long term, you got to and maybe Cowboys are doing the right thing. Just blowing the tires out on this guy as soon as they can.
5-year lease. Hand it back. Here, your keys, your problem now, Sean. The last thing I was going to say about the defense is, you know who their defensive coordinator is? I really went into the coaching area.
Yeah, I like it.
Mike Nolan. Remember him? Remember last time we heard from him, he was destroying the Atlanta Falcons defense, taking the number 8 DVOA defense in 2011, and by 2013 had them at 28th. By 2014, they were dead last in the National Football League. So, I mean, everyone's
hyping up, the rookie CeeDee Lamb and Gallup, and they're going to be thrown all over the place. But let's look at this realistically. They also lost Randall.
Like Jarwin, actually. Fantasy deep. You're playing one of these crazy deep 10 bench spot leagues.
Yeah, but I mean,
someone's got to be the fucking tight end.
That's true. But Randall Cobb, they lost Randall Cobb, and you think like, oh, Randall Cobb had 828 receiving yards and 6.1 yards after the catch. So like he had an impact on this Cowboys team. So even if CeeDee Lamb can get 828 yards in a season, that's a pretty damn good rookie season. And you're still just back to where you were as far as total passing yards. And again,
you got to pick me. I mean, Witten was productive, right?
Yeah. And Dakota, that was like a career year last year. People forget because he only went 8-8, but I think if you're expecting him to go higher than he did last year, as far as his stats and numbers, I think last year was the good year. Yeah, that was the outlier year. I think it's going to be tough for him to do it again. Coming back to the defense, now you have a second round rookie cornerback expected to start. Like you're going to have your hands full. Trayvon Diggs. Sometimes cornerbacks come in and can do okay starting, but generally, I mean, if you're a Lattimore or something,
a good season. Yeah. Well, even Lattimore, if you looked at the numbers, like he wasn't elite or anything. He had good turnover. Yeah, he had a good turnover season, but you're still going to get beat. Rookie cornerbacks get beat, and I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you're winning shootouts this year. You're winning the race to 30 because I don't think your defense is going to be that reliable, and I don't think it's going to be a race to 20. I think that one of the concerns if you're a Cowboys fan is the fact that what if Reigns' or abilities matched up nicely or more nicely with what they were doing under Garrett and whoever was dictating what was going on there. I'm blanking on his name, the Boise State quarterback,
Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore's still there, so who knows? Is he still going to influence the big fat guy? I don't think so. That his whole MO is his fucking offense. I got to imagine they're going to shift it. Part of what Dak is good at is the vertical passing. If you look at his 2 good years, it's all about the vertical passing. So I do question. I do wonder, like completely objectively, if it makes sense for this offense to shift too much. So maybe it won't. But I think there's going to be so much stress on the offense to score 30 points every game because the defense is going to suck. That we're gonna see this house of cards fall apart, Sean. And when you're looking at a win total of 9.5 with -160 on the over, +130 on the under.
Oh wow!
We know what this team is, and this team will forever be an 8-8 team, Sean. And the offensive line concerns are big because this team has always been as that offensive line has gone, and I can't stress to you enough. The move from Mark Colombo to Joe Philbin is the move of the division in my mind because it takes the Cowboys out of the consideration for a team that can win this division in my mind.
Well, and I think the way to beat the Cowboys is going to be to pound the rock, keep their offense off the field, keep them out of sync. The 2019 Cowboys defense played the easiest schedule of opposing rush offenses, but in 2020 they are projected to face the NFL's 9th toughest schedule of run offenses. So I think they're really going to get tested. We already went over all the guys they lost on the D line. I think they're going to be susceptible to the deep throw, and I think they're going to have trouble with the run. So if you're looking to take down the Cowboys, I think you pound the rock and really just keep them off in the same way. That's how people beat the Packers last year, even though they were a decent team and won a bunch of games. I think that's kind of the formula to beat this Cowboys team.
Well, and I what worries me, Sean, is what if the offense is really good, but then again,
the defense feels like a huge liability.
I think the stress of the defense sucking, and I can't wait for the press conference where they lose like 31-28 We got to hear McCarthy talk about how it fucking his. I love that. I love that was the hire. Sean, we should go through the schedule before we do. I gave you the win total. It was 9.5. The division, they are favored -110, +700 to win the conference, 14-1 to win the Super Bowl. That's crazy. At Mike McCarthy's the coach, right?
Yeah.
Okay. First 4 at Rams. To open the season, I love that spot for the Rams. Atlanta
opening up the new stadium.
Atlanta at no fans, of course. Atlanta at home, at Seattle, Cleveland at home. I'll tell you what, I love Atlanta coming into Dallas early. Again, continuity, it matters. It's going to matter early in the season this year more than ever. And I think when you're changing an offense and you're at least changing, I got to imagine you're changing aspects of this offense, and it's going to be a little bit different. And when you have a defense that's weak and not going to be ahead of anyone, I don't like your chances on the road. So scratch those road games to start. Can Atlanta come to can Atlanta come to Dallas and just outscore them? That offense is going to shred.
For sake of argument, yes. Although I think the Cowboy or the Falcons kind of suck. So.
Isn't that the kind of team that randomly beats the Cowboys because they can score 40 points?
You're right. I mean, like, look at this Cowboys roster. Who on that roster is guarding Julio Jones? And then if that guy's guarding
Calvin Ridley,
yeah, if that guy's guarding Julio Jones, who's guarding Calvin Ridley?
Gurley. I'm gonna say 1 and 3.
I'll go 2 and 2.
Oh, what the fuck! I'm gonna alert your father to this. Giants at home, Arizona at home on Monday night. Three home games in a row there. At Washington and then at Philly, back-to-back road games.
Prime time. That feels like a 2 and 2 spot. Because I mean, they're at home against the Giants and Cardinals.
2 and 2.
Yeah, I think in Philly is going to be tough, and in Washington isn't an easy game either. That's a lot of travel.
Pittsburgh at home, bye week. Week 10 bye a little later. That could be bad for this team. At Minnesota, Washington on Thanksgiving Thursday, and then at Baltimore the following Thanksgiving. You know, when I look, the outsiders have them as the 29th projected schedule, and I don't know as we go through this that I'm seeing a super easy schedule.
No, in Baltimore, in Minnesota. I mean, they're coming off the bye there, but.
Again, their home games are scary to me because they're teams that project to be able to score points, and that's the kind of teams. And again, Pittsburgh's defense they were pretty good against the run. I think they could struggle to win that game. At Minnesota is always a tough spot. They'll win the 1 and 3.
Yeah, I'll go 1 and 3.
I would hate to be a Cowboys fan and be a fan of our podcast.
God bless those people for sticking it out.
At Cincinnati, San Francisco at home, Philly at home, at Giants to wrap it up.
So they can beat the Giants and the Bengals. I'll go 2 and 2.
They're not on the road in New York.
Right, and the Giants are going to be really bad.
I'll say 2 and 2. You're wrong. I'll say 2 and 2.
So have them both going 7 and 9.
No, we got them.
Or 8 and 8.
No, I got them going 6 and 10.
Oh wow, Ryan, you're crazy. 7 and 9 for me.
What do you mean I'm crazy? The fuck's wrong with you?
So we're both on the under. I love it.
Lock it up. Hit the lock sound effect. Hit it again.
And of course, all the futures are dumb because the Cowboys have no future.
What's them to miss the playoffs?
Oh, that's a great point, Ryan. Dallas Cowboys plus 185 missed the playoffs.
Throw that in the pot. Stir it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw that in our future section. Gonna load up that plus 185.
Yeah, nothing could go wrong with this team. They replaced the 6'8" offensive line behemoth with Joe Philbin.
If my bookie is gonna give us plus 130 on the under 9.5, I'll take that instead of miss playoffs. Because at 7 and 9, who knows? Something could get wonky. But I'll just take. I'll just
under
lock
9
up the under.
Under 9.5. Lock that up.
9.5.
Lock me up too, Sean. Double lock. Salute.
Double lock. Salute. Oh man, before the New York Giants, they're back, baby. They never went anywhere. That's right. Manscaped is back. Support the Sports Gambling Podcast by checking out Manscaped. Oh man, quarantine, you find yourself with a bunch of extra time. You're gonna do, hey, I'm gonna do some gardening outside. Why not come inside and do some gardening in your own bathroom? Maybe you've been stuck in the house with your wife, your girlfriend, looking to speed, clean things up a little bit. Show her you care by trimming your pubes. Show her you're invested in the relationship. Like, hey, honey, I did you a favor. I fired up the lawnmower 3.0. The 3rd generation trimmer featuring a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to advanced skin safe technology pioneered by Manscaped. And again, I've used it. I have some hair down there, clean it up. Very easy to use. That LED light is super nice.
It's perfect.
That engine, whisper quiet. Cause you don't want to be in the bathroom. You fire up a lawnmower and they're like, hey, what's going on in there? Oh, nothing. You don't want to spoil the moment by not having your partner know that you're trimming your pubes. You want to keep a little surprise in there. All of a sudden you show up like, oh my God, you look so clean down there. Well, you don't need to thank me. You need to thank the 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. Again, I'm a huge fan of quiet stroke technology. Being a married guy, sometimes you have to fire up some quiet stroke technology. Take care of things yourself. Trim the junk off your junk. Manscaped. Use promo code SGP 20% off and free shipping. 20% off and free shipping over at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Or ball in my case. Kramer, let's do it.
Balls for me.
No, you think you're a tough guy, huh? The New York Giants,
let's
Ryan.
do it, baby. All right. Listen, the filth.
I'm listening.
The filth that the Football Outsiders put forth to slander the great Dave Gettleman, to slander the great Joe Judge.
How do you get rid of Pat Shurmur and not Gettleman? How is that? How are you like, all right, we're cleaning house. We're getting rid of Eli. We're getting rid of Pat Shurmur. How do you clean house? And bring Garrett and Freddie Kitchens in. But how is Gettleman still on the part of the, how is he still on the team?
It's just the talent was given to Shurmur and he couldn't get it done. And that's something we just need to move forward with now, Sean. We need to move forward. We need to realize there will be consequences in practice. We need to realize that there will be accountability. And we most importantly need to realize that we will play football with tennis balls taped to our hands.
Gettleman admitted trying to straddle the line between winning and rebuilding was a quote miscalculation.
Yeah, it wasn't smart. You can't do both.
Well, isn't that what they're doing now? What is the Giants' plan for this year?
Well, all rise first of all.
Okay, Joe Judge.
They brought in an all-star cast of coaches that are going to coach up this young group of men. Right? What's important?
It's like the Ocean's 11 of shitty NFL coaches. We got the second story, man. Oh, this guy, he's good with computers. This guy's the explosive one. Oh, Freddie Kitchens. He's the food expert. It's going to get Daniel Jones on a nice diet. This is a great quote from Joe Judge. Quarterback Daniel Jones is going to take some hits this summer, and his plan is to fill socks with bars of soap, and then quote, we're just going to take him out back and wail on him for a while.
Again, Sean, you love this guy. You hate that you can't root for this guy. He's a special teams coach. What have we learned from John Harbaugh, who got his stripes working in Philadelphia as a special teams coach? And what do you have to do as a special teams coach, Sean? You have to be able to adjust. What has he done in Baltimore? He has always been able to adjust and find a system that works for his team. What will Joe Judge, all rise, do in New York? Find a way and find a system that will work with his team. If that's putting soap in socks and beating the shit out of that private school pussy. Let me say this again. If it means putting,
did you just call Mr. Jones a private school pussy?
If that means putting soap into socks and beating the private school pussy out of Daniel Jones, that's fine by me. If that means taping tennis balls to the hands of your defensive backs, you quote, teach them to not hold, that's fine by me. If you want to make them run, because accountability is important with grown people nowadays, in spite of what the millennials will tell you, that's fine by me. Everything that Joe Judge is doing, I am aligned with. I am all in. I'm wearing the headband, Sean.
Yeah.
And my favorite part is your you're just grasping at straws with really hard ass shit that you love and trying to make fun of him and saying he's going to lose the locker room. You are terrified that Daniel Jones picked up 15 pounds of muscles in the offseason. You are terrified by the pure concept, Sean, that Evan Ingram, Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, and Saquon Barkley played 0 snaps together last year, Sean. You're terrified by the fact that they got rid of Nate Soldier, who was the worst tackle in the history, the second worst tackle after Eric Flowers in the history of the National Football League.
He could have some. He could have some competition as left tackle Andrew Thomas struggled in scrimmage as the offensive line let up 5 sacks. Lorenzo Carter getting 4.5.
Well, they brought back Lorenzo Carter's college positional coach to come in and. I was going to give you for the guy who watches way too much Giants shitty media on the internet, Sean, the name to watch this year is Lorenzo Carter. This dude's going to be a bona fide pass rusher. They're going to be stout against the run, and they don't need that bum DeAndre Baker, that thief DeAndre Baker, who wants to disturb a nice Madden game, Sean, which by the way, Monday night Madden, 5 p.m., 7 p.m. here on the West Coast. We're going to be coming live tonight, Monday, probably as you listen.
Does DeAndre Baker, does he get a share a cell with former kicker Aldrick Rosas?
Aldrick Rosas,
who witnesses reported the kicker ran a red light in an intersection between 90 and 100 miles per hour. Then he crashed into someone. Police say they caught up to a bloodied Rosas 3 hours later, walking on the side of the road,
allegedly
about a mile from the scene. They bring in Graham Gano, who didn't kick last year, so that's a good way to lose some close games. Pass catchers, like you said, dealt with a ton of injuries. I mean, yeah, maybe they all work out, or maybe they're just all injury-prone losers. We'll find out.
Well, Golden Tate was suspended for taking Dick Boner medicine.
Well, again, after he left the Philadelphia Eagles, he kind of lost his way. The problem with this Giants offense is they're very predictable. They're very old school.
Oh, here we go.
And now,
what do you know about old school?
On first downs in the first 3 quarters, when the Giants were not in 11 personnel, defenses had 7 men in the box. On 98% of the rushing attempts, they still ran the ball 2.5 yards per carry. So this,
Sean, that's why you bring in an offensive revolutionary in Jason Garrett.
I guarantee you, Jason Garrett wrote on the whiteboard, "Establish the run." Joe Judge looked at it and just nodded.
Yeah. All right.
First down, we run the ball. Second down, we run the ball. Third down, we run the ball. 4 yards in a cloud of dust. It doesn't work in the NFL anymore.
Let's go, baby.
Mr. Jones ranked 35th among all quarterbacks. That's impressive because there's only 32 teams.
Stop it.
Ranked 35th among all quarterbacks with at least 4 starts, in yards per attempt at 6.6 and 30th in completion rate at 61.9. Turnover margin. Maybe this works out for you guys.
Maybe
-17 turnover margin last year. You feel like that can only get better, but I don't know about that.
18 fumbles is tough. You know,
that is a lot.
I think the same.
He's going to have a high bar to cross.
Objectively, the reason you are the reason you can throw shade at Daniel Jones is you say, well, he's essentially he's got the same problem as Haskins, and that's he has no awareness of the rush. And that's not something he's ever going to figure out. Well, the other side of the coin is he looked good doing the things that matter. He looked good with his movement. He looked good with his speed. He looked good with his arm strength, which I think was an area people tried to get after him. Areas that he needs to fix. He may lock onto his first target a little bit too much, and he just didn't have that rush awareness. So you fix that by hitting with bars of soap. Again, I'm okay with that because Joe Judge is the guy who is going to correct the ship here in New York, Sean. Number 1 yards per play in the RPOs last year, Daniel Jones. So there is reason to be optimistic. He had, when the highs were high, the lows were low. But most importantly, he got the reps in. And I think as someone who's watched a quarterback struggle through a rookie year, we've watched many quarterbacks struggle through a rookie year. The most important metric seems to be getting reps, period. And so versus the conversation with Haskins was, oh, we only saw 6 starts or 7 starts.
So you're buying in because he looks slightly better than Dwayne Haskins.
No, I'm saying that he got the reps. He got 12 games in it. And again, the culture has been fixed. We got rid of that locker room cancer, Aldrich Rosas,
who you at one point described as their best player on the team. Couple other things to note. This is a gambling podcast. Ryan, 16 games on the schedule for the Giants. How many games are they favored by more than 2 points in this season?
4.
Incorrect. 1. Against the Redskins, there's also against the Cardinals, they're a 1 point favorite at home, but the Redskins, it's like 2.5.
Well, it looks like
points.
there's a lot of value on the New York Giants.
Yeah, they're as like the look headlines, dogs in every game. So you would recommend people, instead of maybe taking the win total, just load up and bet look headline for the Dallas for the New York Giants every single game over at mybookie.ag.
You're sitting here and you're coming after the Giants for something that you love dogs. You know that hungry dogs run faster.
Yeah, and but I also know the Giants suck, and I told you this last year. And we go through this dance every year. I said they were going to suck. They sucked. They were 4-12. Couldn't get to that dangerously high 6.
There was a lot of ins, a lot of outs. The season.
Saquon again. I think there's some value in Deion Lewis in a best ball format because he could be. I think.
What's your angle here?
That he could be involved in the passing game. That they can't trust Barkley on obvious passing situations, which the Giants are gonna have many of.
Yeah,
you got to do it with the guy who had the Madden roster.
You're
when they said Deion Lewis was the third down back.
You're embarrassing yourself. We need to move on to the schedule because you're just embarrassing yourself. This was a team that was unlucky last year. They're going to win more games this year, Sean. And last thing I'll say.
Xavier McKinney, who's coming in for Xavier McKinney?
Julian Love.
Okay.
And I mentioned that early in the summer with the Sims that Julian Love could be the guy. Anyway, Sean, the culture has been changed. I don't think you realize this. As someone who's watched some hilariously bad head coaches flow through the building.
Yeah.
This guy has something that Pat Shurmur did not have. This guy has something that Ben McAdoo did not have. This is an interesting bet, Ryan. Let's go. More career wins as a Giants head coach, Ben McAdoo or Joe Judge. I would take McAdoo right now. What's the number that McAdoo had? Let me look that up, but I think he got like 20. Let's see. He was 11-5 and then 2-10. So he has 13 wins. I don't think Joe Judge sees 14 wins. Oh, I mean, that's 2.5 seasons. You're out of your. I mean, if you're offering me that wager, I'll happily take that wager. All right. All rise, Sean. Are you not paying attention? I am. You want to go play for Joe Judge in New York. You want to strap it on for Joe Judge. Dude, Ryan, look at their schedule. Where are you finding these wins? Let's go through the fucking schedule, Sean. All right. I know you're going to try to bring this shade. It's all because your Eagles team's fucking medical staff sucks, and the season. They replace the medical staff, and these guys still get injured. Maybe they should have. Maybe the grass is yellow everywhere, and they should have realized that. First 4 for the Giants: Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football, the early game at Chicago, San Francisco at home. Sorry, that was for the Steelers. -3.5. Already locked that. San Francisco at home. Wow, the Giants not at Rams. Really a tough start to the schedule here. In Chicago. Do they? Which do they win the home games? They probably 0-4. And I think you probably think I'm trolling you, but 0-4. So have we seen Ben Roethlisberger throw a football? Yeah, I was watching their is he looking preseason good? Stuff. Yeah. I'll say the Giants go 1-3 here. I'll be. Well, how are you going to get to 9-7, Ryan? We're going to get there. Don't worry. 0-4, and that's being generous. Where are you being? At Dallas, Washington, at Philly on Thursday night, Tampa. Oh my God! I'll say 1-3. Schedule again, feels super generous. I'm also going to go 1-3. Ryan, you got them 2-6. When does the hot streak start? At Washington, Philly at home. Late bye week at Cincy, at Seattle. They play like 15 road games this year. They go 2-2 here. Sean. 1-3. Maybe they'll win in Cincinnati.
Maybe.
Last 4: Arizona, Cleveland, at Baltimore. They won't need the game. Dallas at home. They close out 4-0. Sean, give me an 8-8. Give me an 8-8 season for the New York Giants.
I gotta check your math on that.
What do you mean? I got them going 2-6 and then 6-2.
All right.
You know what?
For that last 4, I'll go 1-3. Did I got them to 3-13.
You know what? I'm changing it. The second sector, they're going 2-2. Give me a 9-7.
Okay.
You got 3-13.
Yeah, that feels generous. Ryan, they're just bad, man. I don't mean to like.
Daniel Jones, Joe Judge, all rise.
Don't you wish you could be operating your own sportsbook so you could take over bets on the New York Giants win total?
I'll bet anyone.
Free money. If you're thinking about starting your own sportsbook, now is the time. Get it going before the NFL kicks off. You thought, hey, I want to run a sportsbook. I don't know how to do it. Our buddies over at Ace make it so easy. All you got to do is go to aceperhead.com/SGP, aceperhead.com/SGP. Use that link and Ace will hook you up with up to 6 weeks free. Ace Per Head offers live betting and an amazing mobile experience, top-notch customer support going 24/7. Some of the sharpest lines in the industry. Again, you don't need to know anything about running a sportsbook. It's all plug and play. They get you set up. You don't have to know anything about a website. They set the lines for you. It's very easy. All you got to do, head over to aceperhead.com/SGP and watch the river of cash wash over you. aceperhead.com/SGP. Oh, Kramer, did you want to talk about any futures that are for the New York Giants?
Yeah, well,
plus 400 to make the playoffs, minus 650 to. I don't think minus 650 is worth it.
Their win total
again, the under is the way to go.
Their win total is 6, minus 110 on the over, minus 120 on the under. 8-1 to win the division, Sean.
Yes. Any of those futures?
6.
Didn't you? Do you already threw out that you like them to win the division at plus 800? Right. You and Walter Football.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other?
Don't forget Steve Shermer and Zach Bronner, writers over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com.
You guys are all delusional.
No, that's it. But at 9-7, they're going to win the division, Sean. They're going to shock the world. The rest of the division is going to look like shit. And we get to talk about your Eagles now. How's your soft tissue doing?
My soft tissue is doing fine because I've been active this entire summer. I maintain a strict hydration regimen. Just knocked out another 100-mile month on my running. Again,
running's not good for you, dude. I've been waiting to have this conversation.
Again, I don't even think like him, Miles Sanders, a couple of other guys dealing with soft tissue stuff. I kind of
is Miles Sanders a soft tissue thing too?
Yeah, and
is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was something else. I thought I read it was something.
No, and I don't even think a lot of these guys are actually injured. I think they're just doing this as a way to rest the guys, being super conservative. Obviously, Jalen Reagor today did something to his shoulder. He's going to be out 3 weeks. Not ideal, but again, and he was tackling a defensive back on an interception that Jalen Hurts threw, which Jalen Hurts, which is really annoying. But also like Doug Peterson, I love Doug Peterson. You shouldn't be letting, after a play is intercepted in a scrimmage against your own guys, you shouldn't be having them tackle
a receiver who can't tackle.
Well, he got the tackle. He just jacked up his shoulder.
Doesn't know how to tackle clearly.
But injuries again.
Rookie receivers, if they're not, he's just not going to contribute this year.
It's certainly going to hurt him starting late like that. Although all the other receivers have looked good. A rookie John Hightower, Deontay Burnett, even JJ Arcega-Whiteside, who I had thought was a bust. He's getting a lot of praise.
I've read positive things about him and the way the local, one of the local guys was touting him as a red zone threat.
I'll tell you who's going to be sneaky, and he was sneaky last year, is Greg Ward, because Greg Ward is almost like a Zach Ertz at a receiver position. He doesn't
blocks really well.
No, Greg Ward is just
gunner who willing to put his body on the line.
He doesn't have tremendous speed or separation, but Carson Wentz really trusts him, loves throwing to him.
Sounds like a Joe Judge kind of guy.
Yeah, except he's on a winning team.
All rise.
A lot of hype about Wentz. Hasn't looked as sharp since 2017. Again, like I said, they brought in a ton of speed. Deshaun Jackson, knock on wood if you're with me, he's healthy. He's just toasting people. And we'll see week 1 against the Redskins.
Assuming his soft tissue is okay.
Well, and again, soft tissue injuries are going to be a huge deal this year because you saw the same issue in 2011. That's why the players like did battle with the NFL about this ramp up period, and there's still a bunch of these kind of injuries. So
well, I mean,
it is what it is.
The offensive line injuries that are the problem, right? Like that's
so Andre Dillard, he's out for the season, and Brandon Brooks out for the season. Brandon Brooks, it sucks because that dude's an all pro. But if you're gonna lose a offensive line position, probably right guard is what you want to lose. Luckily, they brought back Jason Peters, who played at a pretty high level last year, but he's old. He's super old. So yeah, left tackle could be a real issue for this team. What I would say in the positive is they're bringing in Rich Scangarella. There's going to be a lot more Wentz in the bootleg, rolling out Wentz, getting him outside the pocket where he thrives, creating plays off schedule. So I think they're depending on who ends up being the left tackle, assuming Jason Peters slides over, you're going to see a lot. Maybe they help him out with some chip blocks. But yeah, I mean, the offensive line at losing 2 starters before the season kicks off, not good. Javon Hargrave, he's a little banged up. Hopefully he comes back. I'm really psyched about the defensive line. Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson. We didn't get to see that last year. Malik Jackson season-ending injury on the first game of the season. But again, they bring in Darius Slay. First time the Eagles have had a true number 1 cornerback since Asante Samuel. He's going to help kind of smooth out the defensive backfield. They lost Malcolm Jenkins, but they brought Jalen Mills over to kind of play that safety role. By all accounts, he's playing really well in camp. Again, you can't really judge what you're seeing in camp because there's no preseason. But
I think much like the Washington Redskins, this is a team that's going to come down to the quarterback play. It's going to come down to if that quarterback can rise above being a 9-7 guy. And that's Carson Wentz. And when you need to prove something to your team, you need to prove something to the fans. You need to prove something to the division that you can be more than a 9-7 guy. It doesn't help to start the season with soft tissue injuries.
Again,
got to make you wonder what's he doing in the off season to prepare. He's not practicing with tennis balls. He's not running laps. He's not holding himself accountable. Doug Peterson is soft. Doug Peterson is a player's coach. He's not an accountability coach. All right. He's not part of the all right.
They did win a Super Bowl, Ryan.
Oh, they got lucky.
On the defensive side, though, I kind of like what the defensive backfield's rounding out. We'll see. Rodney McLeod, Jalen Mills at safety, and then you got Nickel Roby-Coleman, who could be, Patrick Robinson was huge for the Eagles in 2017 out of that nickel cornerback spot, and he's looked good in practice so far. Avonte Maddox, not a bad cornerback for your number 2, a little short.
As a guy who has held on to a Super Bowl championship too long, it's fun to watch you go through this period.
Right,
you're still holding on.
That was only a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and they've made
the playoff. They've made the playoffs 3 years in a row.
9-7.
You're talking to the NFC East Division champs,
which
Ryan.
is never a good thing.
Address with a little respect.
Not a division that got teams win back-to-back years.
Jim Schwartz. Now finally he's able to bring some pressure because he has guys that can guard in the defensive backfield. Darius Slay is a guy that can cover the number 1 guy. Look for him to travel to the number 1 receiver.
You don't. I mean, I think you're overselling the fact that your secondary issues are solved, and I think you're also underselling the role of a guy like Jenkins on a team.
No, he was a leader
on a team that clearly Peterson enables his veterans to be leaders and to help manage the team. So when you lose someone who clearly has got a tremendously valuable member of management, it's always going to hurt that team. And I think as far as bringing Slay in, I don't. They're still going to have issues on the back end. I think the counter to that would be their front end should be better.
Yeah, and if Malik Jackson, he could have a huge year because if they're going to double team Fletcher Cox and then Javon Hargrave, who's a little nicked up, once he gets in there, that's a legit defensive tackle rotation of Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox, and Malik Jackson.
Yeah, the problem is if Carson Wentz can't stay healthy. I mean, if he's already getting hurt, that's seriously concerning because he's not a guy that can play without his legs. And to your point,
he's fine, right?
To your point, you don't like Jalen Hurts. Sudfeld's the guy. I mean,
Studfeld, you mean?
That's not a guy you're getting behind. So I think you're terrified right now because the team's falling apart and we haven't even gotten to the season.
But again,
you're terrified right now because there's a losable game to the Redskins week 1 on the docket.
In the same way that Carson Wentz thrives when the play breaks down and he has to improvise and find a receiver downfield, make a play, make something happen.
Can you say that?
Peterson, yeah, all his best throws are outside of the pocket. Doug Peterson, I mean, you remember that 50-yard bomb to Nelson Aguilar that helped me win $200,000? Yeah, I remember.
We're talking about a guy who he's been slightly above average in his career, and I think the question is, can he do more this year? Can he do more?
He has much better receiver talent, and assuming
what better receiver talent?
Deshaun Jackson, they didn't have him last year.
They had him last year and he got hurt, Sean.
Right, but now they have him
That's the
healthy.
way it works. And they have him this year and he's going to get hurt.
Well,
the guy who was the rookie was the bright spot. He's out already. He's not going to contribute.
Are you talking about John Hightower?
I'm not talking about John Hightower.
John Hightower is going to contribute.
The tight ends are going to be a problem when you play the Eagles. It's going to be about
12 personnel with Deshaun Jackson and John Hightower. You have two guys receivers that can run 4.40s, and you have Goddard and Ertz. Again, Deshaun Jackson does so much for this team in the same way that they dominated in 2017. Why? Because Torrey Smith, they had to respect Torrey Smith's speed and play off, and then open up the middle. If Deshaun Jackson, and if he can't get through it, then either Rager or Hightower will step in. That's why they drafted all these speed guys.
And I think, and
we haven't even talked about Miles Sanders, who's poised to be like, things go right, he could be a top 5 fantasy player. Like he's going to be involved early
is there for sure. I mean, again, concerning that these guys are getting banged up the way they are. It makes me wonder how much dedication they're pouring back into the program.
But Kramer, to my point that you kind of got me sidetracked on, in the same way that Carson Wentz thrives when a play breaks down, Doug Peterson thrives when faced with adversity. When has Doug Peterson done his best coaching? When the team is 5-6 and they need a run to get in the playoffs. When Wentz goes down while they're having a magical year. That's when Doug Peterson thrives. He's got the players to listen to him. And unlike every other team in the division, he's been there before. He knows what it's like to be a head coach in the NFC East. And none of these other 3 head coaches can say that. They're the only team in this division that has continuity at the quarterback, head coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator.
No, that's fine. I'm fine with all of that. It comes down to Carson Wentz. It comes down to what is Carson Wentz going to do?
He's going to be good.
And will he stay healthy? Will he be able to win?
He
more than 9 games?
He wasn't on the injury report last year.
Will he?
And they took a cheap shot on him in the playoff game, and he got knocked out. I'm a fan of player safety, and yeah. And Ryan, you gleefully throw out these injuries. Injuries are a serious thing, and people should not root for them. So you're generating a lot of negative karma here, Ryan.
Oh man, I still remember that Victor Cruz day. All right, Sean, should we go through the schedule? Last year, the Eagles win total was 9.5. They went under that win total, winning only 9 games. Again, Carson Wentz, a lot of question marks about his ability to deliver in the postseason. This year, the win total is 9.5, -105, -125 is on the under, +140. So slight dogs in the division, Sean, to the Cowgirls, 10-1,
and just kind of where they're positioned. They're not getting any hype. Everyone, the media has already gifted the division to the Dallas Cowboys.
I don't understand that. I understand why you might think the Eagles are going to win the division. I can see if you're a media member and you say the Eagles are the best team, they have the best roster in this division. I don't see the argument for why the Cowboys have the best roster. I just don't see why people are just glossing over the defense. Anyway, 20-1 to win the Super Bowl. Sean, the first 4, the Eagles open at Washington, Rams at home, Bengals at home, at Niners.
3-1. I mean, again, you're right. I am a little nervous about their O-line against Washington, but I think there's too much talent for them to lose that game.
They're going to drop the first one.
Rams.
It's going to be controversy. Fans going to be.
They're not going to lose to the Skins. Rams at home in Philly, good spot to play them. Bengals. You got a rookie quarterback. Game 3. That game in San Francisco, primetime, West Coast. That's a really tough spot. Although I mean, the 49ers have just, since we taped that NFC West preview, they've just been ravaged with injuries. And there's going to be one of those receivers is going to be a DFS steal, but 3-1.
Bit of a hangover potential, but yeah, I mean, tough road spot there, and then the following back-to-back road spots. This is not the easiest stretch. At Pittsburgh, Baltimore at home, Giants at home on Thursday night, and then Dallas at home. 3 home games in a row.
Love it. 3-1. And I think what could happen is they could lose the Steelers. Oh, they're 3-2. Sky's falling, and then they go on a little bit of run. Ravens non-conference road game. Again, the Eagles have done a very good job with run defense.
Haven't the Cowboys owned the Eagles lately?
No, they usually split. It's weird, actually. Dallas, it actually favors the road team in the matchup. But I'm going to say 3-1.
I'm going to say 2-2. You're being way too optimistic. Bye week at Giants. Oh, now it's getting tough. At Giants, at Cleveland, Seattle at home on Monday night, at Green Bay. This is a tough stretch to the schedule, Sean. I'm gonna say.
I say they can go 2-2.
I'm gonna say 2-2.
That is kind of tough. I mean, in Green Bay is never easy. The Seahawks kind of have their number. So yeah, I think 2-2
Last
is fair.
4: Saints at home, at Arizona, at Dallas, Washington at home. I'm gonna finish up 2-2, Sean.
4-0.
4-0.
I mean, Kramer, Doug Peterson.
Did you just get him to go 12-4?
All right,
Stop it.
12-4.
I got him 8-8. Giants win the division at 9-7. Fuck everyone.
Ryan,
All rise, baby.
Ryan, we got to look at your. So you have everyone going under.
I'm going to
except the
process
Giants.
all my teams and see if it makes sense.
There's no way it makes sense. You haven't predicted, I think in like 3 episodes, one team to win more than 10 games.
You saying I'm shade? Well, I'm doing our fans. I'm doing the D-gens a favor
AFC
because
East, you had no one winning 9 games.
Sean, there's always value in the
NFC
under.
South, you had 10.
Always value in the under.
You have no team right now. Oh, you have the Ravens going 11-5.
Okay.
And the Seahawks, which I agree with the Seahawks there.
Yeah, I mean, again, you want to go through all my lead pipe picks. I would recommend you hit the subscribe button. You scroll down the feed and you see that we've broken down every single division from the AFC East to the NFC East. We've broken down fantasy football 7 different ways. We're doing another fantasy preview this week. We're doing a college football preview this week with a special guest returning. We're doing a Kentucky Derby preview this week.
Oh my God.
We are doing our world famous NFL final prediction show, Sean, where we will go through for that show, Sean. I promise I will go through and make sure that my predictions are accurate.
How are you going to make that work?
I don't know. I'm going to use the schedule predictor over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com.
And while you're over there, make sure you sign up for the free roll football contest. We're trying to get up to $5,000. We need your help spreading the word and getting people signed up. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/contest. We also got a listener survey. Again, we're going to give away for the listener survey. One person who fills it out will win $500. It takes under a minute. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survey. Just want to
let us know how awesome we are.
I want to listen to
#Legends only.
See what you guys want out of the podcast and SGPN. Remember, anything else we should hit on?
No, just hit subscribe.
Hit subscribe.
Come back.
Hit subscribe. Let it ride.
Sean, it dawns on me that people haven't come back yet because for whatever reason, it doesn't feel like football's back.
I know. No preseason, and people are just standing on the sidelines watching the NBA playoffs. Football is here. You need to get ready. We have draft kits. We have fantasy football cheat sheets. We have podcast after podcast after podcast, all completely free. Throw us a bone. Get the 5-star rating and a review. Just say thanks. You guys are awesome. Keep up the free shit. I love it. Ryan, we've said it all.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
We have to give out our bets.
Oh, you're right. The locks.
Jesus Christ, Sean.
Okay, for my lock.
That training camp report must be inaccurate. You're not on your P's and Q's right now.
It's pretty easy for the lock. Under New York Giants, over Philadelphia Eagles, and maybe take a small sprinkle on the Eagles. Future, we'll say conference at +1000. I don't want to jinx it too
Lock
hard.
Cowboys under.
Okay.
Lock Giants. No, you know what? I'm gonna lock up the Eagles under as well.
All right, trying to insult me.
Yep,
that's fine. That's fine.
Eagles under, not the Redskins under. Sean, you marked the wrong cell on the sheet. And then I'm just gonna inform you as a friend. as a colleague. Giants at 8-1 to win this division. there's a lot of value there.
Oh, I meant to hit this one. All right, everyone.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
And for the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green, and he is Ryan.
All rise.
Kramer. Let it ride.